Funny how
I
that
was just
works.
reading some just before I came. And I was like, oh no, I haven't read any in the last few weeks or something. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, no.
Did you skip it or did you stop there?
I read a little bit and then I stopped. This was a good number of weeks ago. And then put it down. Lots of things happened. And then yeah, I just kind of put it to one side and didn't pick it up because I knew what was potentially coming.
Yeah. Funny
Mm.
how we do that, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting how we resist having the life that we want.
And then I came upon the word surrender and I'm like, oh, it's that word again. Everyone keeps on saying surrender. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
It's such a complicated word.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Let's see. Trevor, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, just interested in some of the meditation practices I've done. There was one on the trust and the environment, and I'd like to do that one again. And watching some of the ones on masculine, feminine ones that you're showing the hand movements
Mm-hmm.
and just, yeah, the intensity of moving hands and observing your whole process and that was, yeah, just got me to feel a little bit with my hands. And I've kind of had, I've done some um, types of meditation or body awareness stuff in the past, qigong, and so I know sometimes like my right hand would have some like tension in that arm and whatnot, and so just recognizing the different feelings in my arm, my hands, and yeah, kind of reflecting and feeling on that, I guess. Yeah.
Cool. Any insights?
Um, I think for myself, it was like, how do I, if one side is a bit more tense or rigid, or another side's not as more not as firm, like how do I try to feel that harmonization of them working together? Or I don't know, like how to, I was just thinking about like the yoga principles of like, and what you talk about doing things in different ways, backwards. And so just,
Well, I guess there's only
yeah.
really two ways, right? Well, I guess maybe there's three ways. First way is to tense the untense arm to match the intensity of the other one. The second way is to relax the tense arm to match the relaxation of the untense arm. And the third is to just do completely different things for both of them that match.
And then the thing too about the whole getting really into the whatever you're doing, like those, it sounded like a bit like a crazy, distorted kind of feeling state, getting into that kind of as a contrast. I don't know what you exactly described it as, but that feels very useful to feel into the body. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
Um, yeah, I'd like to show up more in this space and join some more workshops. coming. Just been usually work in the evenings. So yeah, I think that's it for now.
Great. Glad that you're doing some of the somatic meditations. I a lot of people say those are very helpful. I can't believe one time someone left a comment that when I was doing it live, that it helped her get out of her wheelchair. I was like, holy crap.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah.
I think too, like it can help release like maybe repressed or suppressed emotion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
So I think for myself, some of that stuff has come up where it's like I feel like, oh, there's this part of me that's like really um, can be overwhelmed with a certain emotion or sensation or maybe like a survival trust pattern and like becoming aware of that
great.
and
Yeah.
like what are my needs? Have I been disconnected from uh, yeah, feeling connected to more of my wholeness and expressing that better.
Yeah, so when we do cinesomatics, we have whole sets of somatic archetype panels. Call them panel sets. Still, still haven't decided what I officially want to call them, panels or sets. Um, and we have whole sets of different somatic archetypes like needs. Um, who was? Oh, I don't not here. One of my clients. Um, oh yes, he's in Taiwan, so it's a getting him on the calls is a whole different time zone. But in our private work, we're going through the whole um, set of need archetypes. So it'll be having needs, having needs, expressing needs, um, having needs, expressing needs, meeting your own needs, having others meet your needs, meeting others' needs, and then having your needs not met. I think that's all of them. Might be one more.
Wow, that sounds very comprehensive stuff to feel through all that
Yeah.
and that wow.
Yeah. And then we'll have the same things with boundaries, same things with intimacy and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Eventually we'll have a whole program that goes through all of that. But yeah, there's every angle, right? We want to look at it at every angle because you may be great at um, expressing your needs, communicating, saying, hey, this is what I need. Um, but you don't know how to let someone in to do that. Right? Maybe there's a block there. You're afraid they're gonna, if you let them in to meet your need, they're gonna do it wrong or they're gonna hurt you or something like that. And then maybe you don't even feel that it's okay to have needs. Right? I've worked with a lot of clients that have been, let's say, emotionally abused or neglected or whatever it is. And I say, show me, in the body. We do this process where we in the physical body through movement express these archetypes rather than just talk about them and to say, show me just even having needs. Um, and, they're like, I don't feel like I'm allowed to have any. It's like, okay, well, that's a major thing. Like, if you don't feel like you can even have needs, Elaine shared yesterday that she found a way to say um, she didn't need touch, right? So we can go into the specific needs, right? So we start with the essential archetype. Let's say needs. I mean, maybe even that is one. It's so abstract, but maybe that could be one of just simply the archetype of needs. I've never done that. I just sort of start with having needs. Let's just start with like having needs. Um, but that could be interesting. Yeah. Sometimes they get the more abstract they get, it can be either less useful or more useful, because it could be less useful that's like, show me the archetype of car. Okay. Um, but it could also be like, show me the archetype of masculine. And that one's pretty up there, or the archetype of yang. And because it's so abstract, it actually can reveal a lot. So um, you sort of have to feel into each of them to discover that. I mean, because I'm literally making this stuff up, not making it up like it's pretend, but it's emergent. You know, I'm the one that's going to be writing this in a semantic book, right? Because this is all at the edge of discovery. And so as I work with clients, I discover, oh, there's this whole set of different ways of relating to needs. It's not just, oh, let's talk about needs. No, it's like we relate to each sort of constellation that makes it up. And so if you don't even feel like you can have needs, um, we don't even need to talk about your need for safety or touch or sleep or whatever it is, right? Because we could even say things like sleep, and someone could be perfectly fine with their getting their needs met in one area, let's say in money, but perhaps in intimacy it's not. But we start with the the essence of the archetype, and so that would be, let's say, needs, and then we would go to sort of a sub archetype, which would be having needs, expressing your needs, things like that. And then we can add qualifiers. And having your needs not met, right? That's a certain qualifier. Um, but those are essential enough that you can then qualify them with specifics. So touch, enforcing, not enforcing, that's boundaries, right? Enforcing is boundaries, because expressing, because there's some similarities. So I may have um, jumbled that up. Expressing your needs, and then you can apply that to um, different things. So, for example, right, as I said, for touch, for um, food, whatever it is, whatever needs are. And then we also have sometimes work on what needs are, right? Because a lot of times people confuse wants with needs, right? It's like saying, I want you to do the laundry. That's my need. Yeah, it's not a need, right? That's a very surface level action behavior. You'll live if someone doesn't do your laundry, right? You'll be safe. You'll be physically and psychologically, energetically okay. But if someone's abusing you or disrespecting you or harming you or you're starving or you're naked and cold, those are going to have profound impacts. Um, and sometimes people think that it's only food, clothing, and shelter, right? They don't even think that their emotional or psychological state are needs, and or they might find out that they don't deserve them, right? Someone with really low self-esteem isn't going to feel like their need to be respected and valued matters. And so those are going to be people, well, if you don't feel like that's a need to be respected, then chances are you don't have a lot of people probably respecting you. Right? Now, if you're demanding, right? If you feel entitled to, let's say, an authority kind of respect, that's different than somebody respecting your boundaries, right? So uh, it's very important as we go into it to start defining these things, because someone might hear you have the need to be respected. Well, a lot of tyrants, a lot of authoritarians, right? A lot of dictators, a lot of bullies, right? A lot of that kind of energy demands this entitlement to be respected. It's a different definition than I'm a person, you're a person, we respect each other, right? I have boundaries, I have things like this that should be respected. So these things all get revealed in the movement, right? Because if I said, all right, show me the need to be respected. Oh, yeah. Right. You could see maybe all this posturing, all this pointing down, and all of that sort of stuff. That's going to reveal a distorted definition that's in their body. So we can take people through this just on these needs. I mean, we could technically spend
Was
months.
in or
Oops. Oh, my internet's choppy today. Sorry. Yay, choppy
just wait a
internet.
minute.
Got choppy internet today. Apologies. So anyway, you guys get the idea wherever I left off. But the final thing I would like to say on that, if you can still hear me, yes, is it's a moot point to go down to say, all right, um, let's work on me, let's say, uh, meeting my own need to be respected, right? That's a very chunked down. That's a very qualified sub-archetype. There is absolutely no point in even working on that one if the sort of quintessent energy is distorted, right? If the foundation of the building is just inherently rotten, there's no point in trying to figure out why the fourth floor is crooked and rearranging things on the fourth floor. If this one is completely flawed to begin with. So that's why we start with these very general foundational things before we get in. And oftentimes it trickles down, right? So if you fix that foundation, then 10 of the floors are all going to be balanced again. And it saves a lot of time than having to micromanage each of those things. So that's a little bit on how we actually use cinesomatics to actually do something with needs versus just shake our hands and wonder what it's about and put our left foot in and our left foot out. Shake it all about, right? We'll do cinesomatics hokey pokey. That could be a good one. Hey, I like that idea. All right, so we got something else to do on one of the workshops or in the retreat. The hokey pokey diagnostic. All right, Elaine, let's hear from you. You just wrapped up your intensive with me, and I said you'd have the floor and stage, or the floor of the stage, um, or we can make a stage on the floor. However you want to configure it, it is yours. So,
Okay.
what was
Thank
your
you.
experience? What happened? Let's spotlight you.
It was amazing.
I'll join you. Here we go.
In every aspect of it, I just felt like it was a nourishment to my soul and being. And Andrew just, served me breakfast and lunch and such with such good care and love and, quality products and all these essential oils wafting in the air, a fire. He had the flower essences, which I love. Just it just felt so wonderful. It just like just beyond it being the therapy, it was this 3 days of self-care and self-appreciation. And it just everything pointed to that for myself. Like, Elaine, find me, look at me. There was a time in there where we were realizing how I don't see things. It was after looking at the tarot cards. I wouldn't see details. So Andrew had me looking at art, and at first I was like, what am I supposed to see here? What is like
Art.
what do I do with it? And he just said, you look into it and you just feel it. There's nothing to do with it, so that was totally new.
What do you
He
mean I
had
don't
another
do
art book
something?
that had all this calligraphy, and he noticed I was just looking at the lettering because I do find lettering beautiful. So I missed all the art pieces just looking at the lettering. And then he had me go to a mirror and he said, "Look at this piece of art." And I said, "Oh, the frame." I mean, I just so sad that I just was so disconnected from myself that I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror or recognize that's what he meant. It's just like, oh my gosh, wow, that's so sad. um, and to pair that with there was, I think it was like 3 hours I was just crying. And Andrew was trying to get me into the feeling of finding myself. Um, and I tried like halfway to find myself. And, I mean, the big block for me was that I was so scared that I wouldn't find myself. And I just had this sense of terror and I just couldn't go to find myself because I was afraid I wouldn't find me. And it was just this, I couldn't believe how intense it was. I was just like, because I'd already cried for 3 hours and Andrew was like, "What are you doing in the space? You're not, you're not moving things around. You're not really trying here." And I said, "Well, you have such nice things. I don't want to, I don't want to break anything." So he said, "Well, you need to go into that and break something." I I I did break a Kleenex box against his.
Okay, but Elaine, what did I offer you to break? What was the first thing I said you could break?
Yeah, I said I could break your TV.
Yeah.
And I just, I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, so
I'm
I
so
said,
glad Kleenex box saved me. It did the trick.
yeah, my poor
Because all,
door though, my closet door.
yes, I don't, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I hope that comes
Yeah,
off.
I cried a little bit that night. Yeah, it just ruined my month.
But it kind of was good because all the Kleenexes just like went everywhere. And Andrew's great house, I felt like I trashed it. So, okay, I trashed your house. So we got through that, and then we were just sitting there in silence. I was just like, oh, deep digging deep down into my soul, like I I just got to find me. I just, what am I gonna do if I don't? I mean, I was just so scared to do it. It was just amazing, all this fear. So with all the grit in my body, I just got up and said, okay, I'm gonna go find me. And I went around and
And
yelling and
and
look.
that was your choice. Yeah,
Yeah,
what was so
I,
powerful about it is that we were just sitting there and you said you were going to do it. I was like, okay. And I was actually turned the music on to go for a break.
oh
And I was like,
yes.
"Oh no, you're actually going to go and do it." I was like, "Amazing." And
I just felt like if I don't do, I mean, this was it.
yeah,
Like this was
exactly. Yep.
the dark, and if I wasn't going in,
Yep. That was
just
your chance. Yeah.
I got to. And on the other, okay, so I did it, and I looked behind the chair, and there was Elaine, and she was like bolting off. And I said, "Well, Elaine, come back here. It's okay." And she tried to run off again. She didn't even want to be in me. I'd been treating her so badly. and she was so scared, and it was just amazing. It
Uh-huh.
just find
And
literally found myself.
then don't leave us hanging, Elaine. All right. Then what'd you do with her?
Then I hugged her and loved her and felt all the self-love of finding myself.
And why didn't she want to be found?
Because I ignore her. I've abandoned her. I don't treat her nice. I ignore, I'm I didn't care about her or love her, recognize her in a mirror. Um, so it makes sense why she wouldn't want me. And then I can look at my girls, and my 16-year-old will barely talk to me. And I tried to apologize when I got home, and they wouldn't come. So it's like what I did to myself, I've done to those around me. And it's horrible just feeling it, what I've done to myself. And then I have this added that I've done it to my girls. So, but that's why I'm here. And I'm just grateful to be learning and growing. And one thing that came to me in the morning was I was thinking of how this work differs from traditional therapy. I was in, before I met Andrew a year ago, I was in a year of therapy, and it was just regular therapy, talk therapy. And the man there, he would, the last few sessions, he was like, well, Elaine, have you written in your gratitude journal? And I mean, I was dead. I can't see art. I can't hear music. I'm, I, I was in so much suffering. It was really hard for me to do the gratitude. It was like, I have to manufacture something here. This is just not, it just doesn't, it's not doing anything for me, But with this work, what I'm finding is that it's going to the root. Again, like Andrew was talking about earlier, how the work, you stabilize the whole building. You're not picking at this one spot over here, and then you got to go to all these spots. You're going to the root, to the foundation. And so gratitude is a byproduct of all this work. Now I appreciate myself, love myself. I've got all these seeds growing within me to grow that. And I can't help but be grateful. Like, it just happens, and it's a byproduct, and it's so beautiful. So, so grateful to be here. And, wow. It's just
What else? What else you want to share? There's so
okay.
much.
Yes. The tarot cards, I was really excited that I picked it was the world card. And you know, to me it represented like um just that sense of freedom, of beauty, of everything that I was working on within myself was represented in that card. And I I just like I want to get a picture of that on my wall, and I feel so supported by everything, and that I just loved having that card.
And then it showed, and then that same pose showed up when you were on the Slack line.
Yes. So the lady, if y'all look it up, so it would be the world card, and the lady has one leg out and one leg, one leg is down and then the other leg's kind of crossed over. And we noticed that same posture when I was on the slack line. I was getting on it, I believe. But it was like, wow, these
Yeah,
things.
that was new. Yeah, that was cool
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
And so how was the slack line? There's
That
there's
was,
all sorts of stuff we did with the tarot, but we'll keep those
yeah,
secrets.
yeah.
Yeah. How's the
The
slack line?
slack line was, um, it's just so funny how it is says my whole life in it. It flabbergasts me how it's like, yes, I do this on the slack line. Yes, that shows up in my life. Um, the plain dumb thing was really, really prevalent throughout the whole intensive. And I got really tired of it. I'm sure Andrew just got so sick of it. But I just really realized how much I've relied on other people to do stuff for me, that I actually manipulated them to do stuff for me by playing dumb. So I manipulate them like, oh, I can't do this. What? And then they would do it for me. And the repercussions that's had in my life, I'm I'm computer illiterate. I'm so many things have just been done for me, and I realized that that was very, very big. Andrew would say, you cannot look at me, because I'd want to look at him for validation. Like, did I just say that right? Or constantly like saying things, I would say it, you couldn't distinguish if it was a question or a statement. So I was kind of like fishing, like, what, um, but it was so big. And then how it showed up on the Slack line was, I was up there, like when I got on, I used Andrew's full body, or the full top of his, I guess his back here to get on. And then his computer wasn't working. He was holding my hand along the way, and then his computer wasn't working and he needed to step away. So he stepped away and I'm just fine up there. Like I probably didn't even need him, but I totally just, he's there, so I'll use him. But I have that within me. I don't need, to play dumb, and just it just holds me back and everybody else. Um, so that was amazing to see that on the Slack line. And that has played off in my relationship. I just, yeah, I played dumb so much. It's just, oh. But I pay for it now because I don't know anything. I mean, as far as, yeah,
Yeah. You get everybody else to do it
yeah.
for you. You don't learn.
And then I look back at my parents and they were doers. My dad, yeah, he'd go do everything and nobody went out to teach me. It was just, oh yeah, I'll do that. And so that was a big, big thing. The imagination, learning to imagine,
Oh, the
just,
tapestry. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with my
yes, the
Knights of the
horse.
Round Table, King Arthur tapestry.
We were looking at this beautiful tapestry that Andrew has on his wall, and Andrew said, "Tell me the story." And I was just like, the woman's coming to tell them she's ready," or, just like boring. Andrew's like, "No, no, what's going on here?" And we kept going into finally the horses were they were diamond hunters, and it just, it went into more fun, like,
Yeah.
imagination. And Andrew actually brought up Barney for me to, the like, he uses every little thing, but that's what I need. I need to get into imagination, get into humor. I really realized with Andrew how my humor was just, I wouldn't get jokes, and I was just, everything's so serious. And um,
And
see
then
what
the
else.
world, the actual world.
Right. Yes. Like getting out into the world, actually flying overseas. I've been so shut into my little world here that I feel that getting out, and everything was speaking of that, like, open up. The invitation is here to, feel the expansiveness, feel the world. Um, so we looked at different places all over the world that, wow, I mean,
You didn't even know these countries existed.
yeah, uh, there's so many possibilities to, uh, when I am in feeling and I can live, gosh, it is just a totally different life. I mean, I just I can't believe it.
Yeah, well, no one's going to believe you're the same person when we do this interview and we look at your first day and then you hear now. I mean, it's like, this is your,
Right.
oh, that's Elaine, and there's Elaine's old forgotten, you know, stepsister in the abyss over there. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, and one thing that I thought of when I was at the point of the terror of not being able to find myself, I did think, what if I hadn't gone in? What if I just left Elaine over in the corner, scared, and I could have just done that and continued the suffering that I've been in. So it's just that moment of choice and deciding, and it was so beautiful to witness all of this within myself, and to really think I had the choice to just leave her, you know. It was- Wow. I'm so glad I chose what I did.
Yeah, and then knowing that you've had that choice all along. It
Yes.
was just
Yeah.
a choice. I didn't insert a new microchip into your circuits that allowed you to do it. I mean, we do not realize, so many of us, we are one choice away from an entirely new life. One choice can change everything. Imagine what a couple or a few or a handful can do. It's not outside there. You made that choice inside yourself. You got up off that couch and said, I'm going to find her. And you
And
meant
that
it.
was, I'd say that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I mean, I can't believe I have to say that, but it was,
Yeah.
dang, it was so hard. I just,
Well, it was amazing to see how everything in the space was more valuable than you. The Kleenex box, a bag, the pillows, my laptop, the vase, the Buddha, the essential oil bottle, the rug.
That's where I'd put myself. He
Yeah.
laughed. Yeah.
You know, you made all of those things more important than your life. You know, when you were walking around the space and you were looking for a lane and you were like, "Mm, mm, oh my God." You know, and I said, "All right, well, imagine it was your daughter." And you're like, huh? You know, I'm like, what is the most horrific thing? You know, your daughter is lost in the woods. You know, werewolves are gonna eat her. And you're just like, hello, I'm here. And it was just, you know, this is your life. You know, you just wimp and just, you know, your children will get eaten. You're living at the bottom of the ocean, you know, and the vultures are having a feast, picking
There
at you.
was so much blockage within all
Yeah.
of that for me to access that fire, that power, that
That your voice, you know, your voice is different after this weekend.
yeah, I thought I would concentrate on that more, but maybe it's just
That's
doing
both.
it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you go into it. It's certainly good to, you know, practice those sounds we were making, those magical sounds that we were making, secret sounds. And you
Yes,
put,
we worked on my
right.
voice. That was a big thing, how I just abandon myself, when I go into this, oh yeah, just that abandonment of myself that
Guys,
um
doesn't it feel so good listening to her now? I mean, she hasn't done that once, unless, you know, besides this example. Yeah.
yeah, I had to actually think of how to do it.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is. Uh, yeah, I would play dumb so much that so we had the tarot card and Andrew's like, well, said, "What's that shape?" And I didn't really look at it. I was like, "Oh, I don't know what that shape is." He's like, "No, what is that shape? Like, did I not know my shapes?" And I had to think about it. And I was like, "Oh, yes, that's an oval." Um,
No, you
but it
didn't. No, 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 no. You said that, what did you say? It was like a some rectangle or something. You didn't. I said it was an oval.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I'm pretty
well,
sure. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I guess we can fight over the credit of the oval shape. But yeah, you
you did
looked at it and you said,
disagree.
I don't know. I'm like, you don't know what that shape is? Like,
I
oh,
did know what the shape was. I didn't know that it was a wreath. That's what I
yeah, I
didn't.
don't know. I don't know. It was pretty bad. It was so
Yeah,
bad we were joking about it for the whole weekend.
yeah. It was just the level to which I took playing dumb was. And then he asked me to, say this four-letter word backwards. I was like, oh, I can't do that. It's like, it's four letters, just say it backwards, just take the time. And that's what I realize in my life. I don't take the time to just sit with it and figure it out. It's always just like, oh, I don't know, and somebody else figure it out. And
Yep.
wow.
Yeah. And it's enabled, right? And I say, I'm not going to figure it out for you. You can do it. It's four letters. What
I
are the four letters?
and I've been seeing that throughout me being back. So I was needing to download all those big files from the intensive, and I was trying to do it on my laptop. It wasn't working. So then I bought a drive and I was trying to look it up on YouTube. How do I do this? And I had spent an hour trying to figure it out, didn't work. And I thought, okay, I just have to go ask my ex-husband. And then I was like, no, you can't do that. I'm not going to do that. So I went to the computer guy here and he ran me through stuff. But that that's and I'm finding so much use in YouTube because before I felt so helpless and so I got to go get somebody's help but I mean it's all here on YouTube, so it's like,
Even me.
wow.
And you're on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Tutu.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Great work, Elaine.
Oh, thank you. I'm just amazed how you stay on it and it's so, I mean, it's intense. Intensive is the right word for this. It's so intense and you have to he was always on, correcting me with my voice every time and gosh, and all the different things, the playing dumb and correcting me all the while teaching and it's just wow.
Making jokes.
Making jokes and then having to explain that it's a
Uh-huh.
joke.
This is how this is funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
And
mean
then
it's go ahead.
oh, and where I know you've always said that it's not going to be instantaneous that people around me are going to see the changes that I see. So I have to deal with that too, that nobody sees it or accepts it or um maybe
Not
wants to see it. So
not nobody. I said, it's the people closest to you that have been put through your stuff every day. You've shared
right,
that
that's what
there's
I meant.
lots of people that don't know you very well that have known you over the years and come and say what to you.
Yes, they're saying like, Elaine, what are you doing? What you look so good. Just keep going. They're just I've had several people like that. So yes, I misspoke on that. It's my family that has the trouble. So um but like I said, all of this gratitude is coming from within and I can feel it within myself. So I just will keep going.
Well, and this is why the fellowship is so important, and why our group work is important, and the school community, because, well, many reasons, but one is that there's probably not many people in our everyday lives that get this level of stuff. And B, when you do this intense kind of work and you have these rapid transformations that many people have, many people come in for a session or a weekend or, even a 6 month process is so fast, especially when most people's, as you said, therapists, over a year, nothing has happened. And so in 6 months, when somebody shows up and they're just a completely different person than they were when they entered, or as I like to say, more of who they really were than they've ever been, um, people don't have a context for it. So when you come to a workshop or you do something like an intensive and you literally look and feel and sound different than when you walked in, and especially when you walked in a year ago. Um, to go back into an abusive environment, um, can be very challenging, and it can make you question everything. And so, having a group of people that are oriented towards the truth, that give you feedback, that are able to see these things, to say, Elaine, this is amazing. Or Elaine, you're fooling yourself. You're conning yourself. Because we do both, right? We affirm what works and, acknowledge what isn't. And so most people in the normal world just do not have a context for this level of rapid change. I I go anyway. My own visits with my own family have revealed some of these truths. Um, and with enough time, right? With enough time, People can see how things shift. But when they don't want to see it, as in environments where you've done your stuff, and so they're still in a lot of pain and they don't trust you, and then also their own stuff with what they do and what they've done, people just don't have a context for this depth of work and this level of rapid transformation. And so,
Or they're addicted to their own suffering and
yeah,
they
and or that, yeah, and they may not want to see you in this new way. And many of us are not accustomed to updating our internal image of somebody this quickly, right? We, as creatures, are looking for the stability. Oh, well, that's Neil. Oh, well, that's Trevor. Oh, that's Heather. We've have this internal symbol of them and put them into a box so we can really quickly relate to them. We all do that, and it's very useful. The problem with that is that we're not really taught how to update that image or to move them into a different box or to take them out of the box or ourselves or anything like this. And probably for good reason, right? Because most people don't. You can go to a lot of therapists or psychologists or normal people in the world, and they say, people don't change. You're right. It's pretty much true. That's a good adage to have. When you're dealing with normal people in the world, if there were a narcissist 30 years ago, chances are they still are now, right? That's normal way of navigating the world. But this work is absolutely different. And so in this work, there actually are tangible, verifiable, real world changes and transformations, literally that can occur on the epigenetic level, in the wiring of the brain and nervous system and the body. Obviously, how the body shows up, sound of your voice. So there's a lot of those things that can visibly be seen, but the internal stuff, right? It's like my family has no clue what's shifted internally, what I see and how I see the world and the level of this work that I do. And that's okay. But I have to be the one that takes responsibility for that. Right? I have to know, how come they don't see me in this new way? Right? Instead of doing that, having compassion, having understanding, realizing that almost nobody has a context for this work. And it takes a lot of people months or years of doing this weekly or daily to start grasping what we're really doing here. And so when we go back home, we go back into our normal environment after being in here, to be well equipped of going back into that environment and knowing these things so they don't take us out, so we don't spiral down, so we don't doubt ourselves. The ego is very opportunistic. It's happy to say, oh, you wasted your money. You're not really this good. You're just lying to yourself. You haven't changed. Look at all these people saying all of this stuff about you still. And so we'll have things like the retreat. So we have everybody come in for 10 days, and it's this mystical experience, truly. And you're in an environment with people that all get it. And then we also have people that are doing their shit. And so then there's like stuff going on, and there's an intensity. And then we have energetic stuff and the symbolism work and the dream work. And you're in an environment of this work for 10 days. And that's just, it's special, magical, beyond words. And then you go back, you go back into Kroger, you go back into the grocery store, you go back onto the train, into your car, into rush hour, and it's like, holy shit, this is what happens to a lot of mystics. You have this mystical experience, you say, oh my God, or even psychedelics, right? And you come back and you say, the fuck is this thing? What? And you look around you and you just say, oh my God, none of these people can see this. Wow. And that's part of it. That's part of the experience. And your ego can use it to feel special, right? Your ego can use it to become narcissistic, megalomaniac, right? You can start doing all this crazy weird shit that people do. You go start a cult and let everybody, tell everyone you're a messiah and you're the chosen one, and then, you can go off that end and bad stuff happens, right? Or, right, you get into a relationship. You embody it and you become that. You embody that. And you take that into your life and then you start sharing it with others. Not necessarily speaking, but you're sharing that new reference point. So as you leave the intensive, just your presence back into your store, back into your family, back into your city, you're radiating a new reference point for them. You're radiating what you've learned at the subconscious level, at this energetic level. You don't have to go out and do anything. You can if you want. That's what I've chosen to do with it because I love it. I was doing it anyway. But you don't have to, right? You don't have to actually go out and teach or preach or any of that. Just you having embodied this kind of experience is enough to ripple out and change the world.
It's so beautiful.
It
I'm
is.
just so grateful to be here and I've had the opportunity to do this. And I can't wait for this the 10-day
Yeah, the
thing.
retreat.
It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah. Seeing everybody in person.
Yes.
All right. Any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to share?
Um, it was just I mean, I'm just so grateful. I really and it was just it felt like everything that I needed at this time in my life, and I can't recommend it enough. If any of y'all can do an intensive, it is just life transforming. And that being said, it does take everything you've got to get. But on the other side, gosh, it's great. It's
We've only lost one person.
only lost one person.
Yeah.
Oh,
One person died. Yeah, they didn't make
the
it.
darkness didn't come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a joke.
Yes, Elaine, that's a joke. Nobody's died physically
That's a good one. It's
in the
funny.
past year.
Mm.
Well, thank you for sharing. Let's open it up to see if anybody has any questions or wants to reflect.
Thank you.
All right, great. Well, nobody has any questions. Um, well, we're at time. Anybody have anything else they'd like to share or ask before we wrap up? Nope. All right. Well, then let me let you know what we got going on. Let me bring up our upcoming events. We got a bunch of stuff scheduled. Um, so if you are interested in the kind of things that Elaine was just talking about, we have a bunch of workshops. If I can find where this is, here we go. We have a bunch of workshops. Tomorrow, I'll be getting all these pages up, so you'll be able to register for all of this stuff. But let's just take a look at what we got going on here. That's my face, in case you didn't know who I was. All right. We also got Elaine a wonderful picture. That was a whole other thing. We did a little modeling photo shoot for Elaine.
Another, like reflection of Elaine, and it was so beautiful to get some good photos. And thank you so much for that, Andrew.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just tired of seeing that mouse pointer on your profile picture. It was more for me than you.
That out. I makes me want to see better, for sure.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you use it to I'm glad it inspires you rather than using it to suffer more, because, there are people that see these things and hear these things and get this feedback, and they just use it to suffer more and attack themselves. So it's wonderful that you are inspired by them to show up and live a bigger life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess I just kind of find it humorous. Like that is so funny. So I guess that's
Yeah,
good.
it is. I mean, it is. It's crazy how you didn't, notice things. All right. Cinematic relation. We'll get this up. Um, Nashville, Tennessee, April 12th to 13th. This is where you get to explore your masculine and feminine with a partner. So this is a great two-person diagnostic. It's our only two-person thing that we have. So if you want to see how you relate in your masculine and feminine, it's a very, very powerful and revealing workshop. Then we have cinematic exploration. This is our kind of basic, even though it's not basic. I mean, it is all advanced work. But this is sort of our standard weekend workshop where we do dancing and all sorts of different movements. It's essentially our open mic, open floor for whatever's coming up. Then we have, again, another in-person here in Nashville, Slackline. Elaine just talked about the Slackline. This is a a fan favorite, a crowd favorite. This is in person. Both Relation and Slackline have very limited spots. There's only 6 spots for those. Cinematic life map. So we just got done with our life map. You probably saw some of the testimonials from people in that workshop that I just posted. And it was so amazing that it's actually going to be our first 2-weekend workshop. So we're going to do one weekend, 2 days, and then the next weekend we'll do another 2 days. So a 4-day workshop, but split up between 2 weekends. And that's August 9th and 16th. And then the Mysteries 10-day retreat. This is what we're talking about. This is an advanced 10-day retreat. When you hear retreat, you may think a certain thing, but maybe when you hear Andrew Daniel or Systematics, it puts a different context into it. But it'll be wonderful. This will include accommodation and food. The flights will be on you, but we will have a chef with meals, and we'll all be living together in one place for 10 days, different rooms, but in the same home. And this will be morning till night of really, really deep, powerful work. And yeah, so that's what we got. That's what we're going on. Some online events, some in-person events, and the big daddy event of them all. And that will be in the Smoky Mountains. So we're going to do that tucked away in the forest. All right. So that's it. Thank you so much, Elaine. Go ahead, Elaine.
Yes. That's all sounds so exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming and doing them and changing your life. And
Yeah.
yeah, we really appreciate your contribution and your just continued support of the work. You're a testament to what this can do and what any of us can do when we show up and make these choices. Yeah, so you're leading us all forward.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, have a great week. Those of you that are in the fellowship, we'll see you next Wednesday. Those of you that come on these calls, we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
bye, guys.
Elaine. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.